You know, many years has passed since Dr. King died, was assassinated, but I'm going to point out some fallouts from the civil rights movement. And I'm sure when Dr. King and those who were out there marching, perhaps they thought they were doing what was best for the race. Although now, I heard, I think it was Reverend Al Sharpton and other people saying that when Dr. King first started out, he wasn't trying to fight for integration. Now that's what I heard. So I don't know. But in any event, I'm going to talk about the fallout from the civil rights movement. You know, we talk about our young people, are they doing this, are they doing that? And oftentimes older black people say, well, they sure know they up on them white people. You know, saying that about the young people. But listen, let's talk about the fallout from the civil rights movement. And this thing about they all up on those white people, that's one of the first fallouts from the civil rights movement. We did that. What Dr. King did, the generation before me. I'm a boomer. So it started, I'm sure, way back before Dr. King. But it hit me during Dr. King. And that was one of the things that I saw as a little girl. I was a small child. But one thing I saw was that always seemed to be that unquenchable desire to be up on the white people. That's one of the fallouts. That's all we saw. Every time we turned on the TV, they were getting beat in the head and dogs sicked on them, water holes being turned on them, and yet and still, from what I saw, was them trying to be up on the white people. Now, we'll do a video tomorrow, a podcast tomorrow, about a different view of the civil rights movement. For this particular podcast, this is what I'm saying. So when we want to talk about these young people always want to be on the white people, that's a fallout of the civil rights movement. You know how you hear them say, well, the white man's ice is cooler, you know, meaning that black people will bypass black stores to go to white stores. That's another fallout of the civil rights movement. That's another fallout. Because what were we doing? Neglecting our businesses, neglecting our hospitals, our grocery stores, our schools, even our churches, to do what? Go be with the white man. That's why these young people think the ice is cooler. That's why I grew up thinking that. And let me tell you something, as a boomer, it was a hard thing for me to shake that. Black businesses closing. That's a fallout of the civil rights movement. We had so many black businesses that closed up. When I was growing up, we had our own theaters, our own motels, hotels, our own grocery stores. I mean, hospitals. Whatever it is we needed, or whatever it was we needed, we had those businesses, our own banks. Therefore, we had our own businesses in our own homes because black banks would make loans to black businesses. But as a result of the civil rights movement, guess what? We stopped going to to the black theaters and all these other places, and they end up closing. We stopped putting our money in black banks, so the black banks had to close. Right now, here in Macon, Bill County, Georgia, we have all these foreigners in our neighborhoods and stuff. They're thriving. Even down to the laundromat. This black man owned the laundromat, and black people wouldn't go there. If they would go just to destroy it. They tore the chain machine off the wall in this black laundromat. But they never touched the laundromat machines, change machines, or anything. He had a TV up so they could watch TV. All of a sudden, that was gone. But see, this is the fallout of the civil rights movement. Displacement. We don't even know where we belong anymore. We go into these neighborhoods, and here again, because we want to be near white folk, we go into these neighborhoods and stuff where they don't want us there. They let you know they don't want you there. Burn your house down. Shoot you with BB guns. Egg your car. But guess what? We fight to be there because according to the civil rights movement, that's what we should be. That's a fallout. Self-esteem plummeted. Our self-esteem just went downhill. All of a sudden, when we were in places, going to stores and stuff, where you were treated like you were equal, like you were a person, you're going into these places now where they're treating you like you're nothing, like they don't want you there. And at one time, you had to go in the back door when you could have gone into the front door of these black establishments. So now you're feeling like you're nothing. Your self-esteem has plummeted. We integrated when I was in, I forgot what grade we was in, because Brown versus the Board of Education, well, in the 60s, but it was in the 50s, I think, but it was way after that, before we actually had desegregated schools. And when we were in those segregated schools, we got a better education. Even though we had old books, we got a much better education in those poor black schools with those secondhand books. And not only that, you were treated like you were an equal. Here again, like you just belonged there. When we integrated, you could be asking those white teachers a question, and a white student would say something, they would just walk away from you like you're not even asking anything. Or if they were coming toward you, and when those white students would ask a question, they would just turn around and go back to those white students. And, so here again, your self-esteem plummeted. You went from feeling like you were as worthy as everybody else to feeling like there was something wrong with you. That's the fallout of the civil rights movement. We're going to have to address these issues if we plan to move ahead. If we plan to move ahead and do better and heal, these are things we're going to have to address. And those, I don't know, the boomers, but what was the silent generation? You're going to have to take responsibility for creating this mess. This mess was created by us. Okay, so white man's religion is better. Even our churches and stuff, I saw people fighting to sit with white folk in their church. We had churches. So when you want to talk about these young people, about how they sticking up for white people, they speaking up for white people, we were taught that. And as a result, we taught the next generation, who taught the next generation, who taught the next generation. We're going to have to take responsibility. And the big blanket that covered all of that is integration. Integration was and is the the bullet train to hell for black people. Integration, the bullet train to hell. So we want to start talking about the civil rights movement. We want to talk about these young people. At some point, if we're serious about healing, about doing better, we're going to have to accept the responsibility of us causing all these issues and start working on how do we deal with these issues. How do we get back to that quality of education? Homeschool? Is that one solution? Desegregation? How do we get our self-esteem back when we feel like we're worth something? Or did we ever feel like we were worth anything? Displacement. How do we get our placement back? Black businesses. How do we get our black businesses back? Our black banks. How do we get our churches back? How do we get back to realizing that the black man ice is just as cool? Black man, you forfeited your equity for equality. Why did you do it? I'm Lily Bear. I'm just trying to create a dialogue. You be encouraged, and you remember this. If they close my book, you remember my story. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Support our youth in any way you can. Keep on churning till the butter comes. Albert C. Richardson, a black man, patent the butter churn U.S. patent number 446470, February 17th, 1891. I'm Lily Bear. I'm just trying to create a dialogue. I leave you with this. If they close my book, you remember my story. A Nat Turner Runner production. Lock and load. Lily Bell. Be encouraged.